Hello, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Tim Rolling, former FAPE and now Rated Foreign Area Officer, commanding the 332nd Training Squadron at the Defense Language Institute English Language Center, also known as DLI-ELC, located at Joint Base San Antonio, Lackland, Texas. Our mission goes beyond teaching English in the classroom, as we also help our students learn about American culture and forge important security cooperation partnerships, a role you carry on as the students depart here and arrive at your training location. Teaching English as a second language, or ESL, is a highly specialized field that includes many subspecialties within the field. One of the most common subspecialties is English for Specific Purposes, or ESP. At DLI, we teach ESP to international military students in disciplines ranging from electronics to diving. But the largest number of students we receive are aviators who attend our Aviation English program. ESP focuses on the language skills necessary to excel in a particular field. The central question in ESP is, why does this learner need to learn English? DLI has a clearly defined ESP mission. Air Force Instruction 36-4003, Managing the Defense English Language Program, states that the Specialized English Training, or SET, phase is a 9-week course which focuses on the specific language skills and terminology students will need to enter CONUS technical and professional military training. The sponsoring service determines if SET is required for the student's follow-on training, or FOT. Students must achieve the English Comprehension Level, or ECL, and Oral Proficiency Interview, or OPI, requirements for FOT before entering SET. A needs analysis is conducted to determine the most appropriate curriculum for our students. An integral part of the needs analysis is when a DLI team visits FOT sites to observe classes, conduct surveys, and talk with administrators, instructors, American students, and DLI graduates. The curriculum must serve a clear purpose based on the training needs. Site visits are also taken at other times to ensure that curriculum stays current and relevant. This enables our developers to adapt to our students' needs as the FOT environment changes. It's critical for our stakeholders to be aware that DLI is not a pre-tech training school, but an English language program. Therefore, our focus is strictly on the English language skills necessary for student success at FOT. We can provide authentic materials for context and relevance, professional texts, audio recordings, training videos, hands-on tasks that simulate the FOT environment, and input from military and technical experts. We cannot provide explicit FOT course content, classified or sensitive materials, unlicensed copyrighted materials, and materials not approved by the Foreign Disclosure Officer, or FDO. Though our focus is on aviation English, it's also incumbent upon us to include a cultural component to the aviation course. At FOT, students will not just have aviation-related discussions. International military students will have conversations with their American counterparts outside the classroom. They'll be engaging in informal conversations and banter in the break room, at the officers' club, at sporting events, and other situations. To help, students take our M106 module, U.S. Military Culture and Training Environment, which is a 1-week course that'll help prepare them for FOT culture and environment. Each group of students presents a unique challenge. Not only do students hail from many different countries and hold several military ranks, their English language ability and technical knowledge can also vary greatly. For example, a class might include an officer with a few thousand flying hours in the F-16 who has trouble stringing a sentence together and another classmate who frequently sprinkles sentences with American slang, but whose first flight was their recent trip to the US. As ESP practitioners, DLI curriculum developers must frequently balance what the students want with what FOT needs. A common example of this balancing act is with content and vocabulary. Students tend to want to learn technical vocabulary and focus on technical content. However, our analysis has consistently shown the need to emphasize language functions and semi-technical vocabulary. There should be enough technical content and vocabulary to give the course relevance and keep the students engaged, but not so much that we stray into FOT's territory. A lack of familiarity with language functions and semi-technical vocabulary puts an international military student at a disadvantage. Language functions are the social lubricant that keeps discussions going. These come naturally to native speakers, but they are not immediately intuitive for our international students. With students from particular cultures, it's a challenge for them to want to use language functions of any sort during class because they're not used to asking questions or even politely interrupting the instructor. During FOT, instructors will often stop to explain a technical term or check to be sure that students understand the term, but are unlikely to explain a semi-technical term as American pilots will already be familiar with it. Also, important technical vocabulary will be explained in a text, but semi-technical will not. Therefore, DLI curriculum makes a concerted effort to pick out semi-technical terms from readings, videos, and audios to help prepare students for FOT. A technical term may include a semi-technical word with several meanings. In addition, common words are sometimes used differently in a specific field. For example, bank, apron, and battery are everyday words that have totally different meanings in the aviation context. Now that we've briefly discussed our ESP mission, let's look more closely at how this applies to our aviation students. Requirements for international students to enter and graduate DLI are set by the military departments and vary depending on the FOT. Only 1 out of 3 international aviation students who come to the US for training attend DLI. The other 2/3 are direct entries to FOT. DLI students in aviation come from more than 70 countries. Our aviation English courses include fixed wing T6 and T38 from the US Air Force and US Navy, rotary wing from the US Army, air traffic controllers, and weapons controllers. Remember, you play a critical role in security cooperation as an ambassador for the United States in your interactions with our international partners and allies. To prepare the most appropriate aviation English syllabus, the DLI curriculum department collected data from multiple sites through site visits, surveys, and follow-up communication. The primary findings revealed a need for students to improve their study and note-taking skills, work independently on computer-based and online training materials prior to face-to-face instruction, engage with platform instructors and instructor pilots as facilitators, and become better independent learners. One way we have used language skills to simulate the FOT environment is with task saturation activities. The main purpose is to practice English while simulating the stress pilots experience in the cockpit, performing multiple, time-sensitive tasks simultaneously. While we do aim to improve our international students' ability to speak English during cognitive overload, they will face the same challenge of helmet fire you see with their U.S. counterparts. Challenges in the cockpit with international students experiencing cognitive overload may best be attributed to a lack of situational awareness and poor task management, not necessarily language deficiency. Another way we've used language skills to simulate the FOT environment is through the DLI Aviation English Language Training Center, better known as the DLIELC. In the DLIELC, students are exposed to the different functions of the flight line and apply the language they learn throughout the week to perform various tasks, including time in one of our flight simulators. This is all done under the guidance of resident subject matter experts, or SMEs. In addition to 1 week of orientation, the aviation course includes 8 weeks of core aviation ESP classes that incorporates military aviation training environment familiarity, task saturation activities, English for aircraft systems, chair flights, and study skills. Also included are SME videos taken from 6 IPs who were interviewed and filmed during a TDY to San Antonio. The SME videos and activities developed from these interviews are an important part of the course. Finally, we have language tools available to students through the DLI Learning Management System and other online materials. While our international students leave DLI at the level defined by the military department and FOT requirements, it's important to remember that language skills are perishable if not used continually. Please encourage your international students to fully integrate with their American counterparts so that they are constantly immersed in the English language. If you notice a student struggling with language, please have your International Military Student Officer, or IMSO, reach out to us at DLI so we can make an assessment and develop a plan together that includes supplemental language training and additional training at the UPT location. We are here to support you and our students so that we can build up our partners and allies through security cooperation. Thank you for all you do.